Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning again. It's Wade here. I'm from the Bank of New York, and I'm going to be the person who's going to be walking you through the training today. And I was saying earlier, hope wherever you are, it's a bright and sunny and warm day. In New York City here, we're a little bit cloudy. Might be expecting rain today. So, so we're going to try and do something here. Try and introduce you to processing food processing within GenMA and how to use the system. Maybe that will be tomorrow. But I know that I noticed a lot of names and I'm not familiar with a lot of these names. So there might be a lot of new people on the line. So what if you're new, you can just put your name in the chat and say, yes, I'm new. This is the first time I'm doing a single family training. So we'll just get acquainted that way. Again, I'm working today with two of my colleagues. It's going to be James Lee and also Maribel Cannon. Maribel is going to be my driver. So she's going to be moving the slides as we go along. So let's put on our seatbelts and get going. Because guess what? I don't drive, but I'm going to try and do my best and guide you through the session. Next slide, please. Okay, done the introduction. We're going to go through a path of a pool, prerequisite for pooling, and then we're going to look some GenMA website information. Next slide. Path of a pool. Next slide. We're going to look at pool submission, processing, issuance and delivery diagram. We're going to look at the pooling timeline. And we're also going to have some knowledge check. We might have some little poll questions just to make sure everybody is paying attention so you can also be interactive, a part of the session. Next slide. Okay, this slide is the path of the pool. If you're all new, most likely you're reading or you've become experts at that MS guide, MBS guide. That's the GenMA handbook that's out there on the GenMA website. You want to get familiar with it if you're a new user, new issuer, get familiar with the chapters. If you're doing M pools, if you're doing C pools, X pools, get familiar with those chapters, know what's required. So when you're getting ready to set up your pools, you have all the necessary information. And also, you also want to use your AEs as your guide in terms of policy questions when you're getting ready to set up your pools. So this is just a path. We're just going to go through this. What happens the path of a pool. We're just going to give you, this is just a diagram to show what happens in your world. MGM or GenNet world, and also in our world, BNY Mellon. First of all, the issuer must be enrolled in GenNet and GMAP via MyGenMA. To submit pools, issuers must have available pool number, sufficient commitment authority, approved master agreement. So those are some of the things you actually need to make sure you get going. The issuer is going to submit pools through GenNet. The document custodian is going to retrieve and certify. And then at 2 p.m. and 9 p.m., the GenNet network is going to be swept with all those pools that have a status of certified. And then there's another part to it. That's what happens in our world at BNY Mellon. Pool files are revalidated to the new pool processing system that when they come in on IPMS. New issue filed with QSIP number is transmitted to the Federal Reserve Bank. Pool delivery file created for pool settlement. Pools are approved for pool issuance. And then all that information can be found on Ginnie Mae Central Registry. So that's just what happens in a nutshell. And bear with us today. It's just one of those things, the Monday blues. So that's why I'm getting that echo. So let's try and go through it. We'll make it. Next slide, please. Path of a pool is the initial certification. GenNet network is swept twice each business day for processing and issuance of pool certification by the document custodian. We sweep the network at 2 p.m. That means any pool that has a certified status, certified pool loan packages are swept at 2 p.m. We will be considered day one processing and may be delivered for settlement the next business day. So if we sweep the network today at 2 p.m., those pools are processed. They can be delivered tomorrow by the Fed. Depends on the settlement data you have there. Then if their pools are certified after 2 p.m., then we have a 9 p.m. sweep. So therefore, we're going to sweep the network tonight at 9 p.m. We're going to process those pools, and then those pools can be ready on Tuesday. That becomes a 2-day process. So when you're setting up your pools, when you're making arrangement with your custodian, you just want to make sure you have those times in mind. So that will help you meet your requirement to your investor when to deliver, when those pools will be settled. And when deleting pools after certification, most people, okay, let's go again. Deleting pools after certification, that means if you have submitted your pools and you find that you need to make corrections, you have the ability to do that. So that's why we put that information at the bottom to contact the Ginnie Mae customer service number at 1-833 Ginnie Mae help. That's 833-466-2435. And pools can be deleted between the hours of 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So if you miss that regular cutoff time, you can call us and have the pool deleted during that time. Pools have until 12 noon to perform an order delete on GenNet. That means the order delete is you as the issuer submitted something and while you're doing your due diligence, you found out that, hey, this doesn't look correct. I need to add another loan. You can actually go in and delete the pool yourself without getting in touch with us. That means you can delete the pool by 12 noon Eastern time. But after 12 noon, you would have to make sure you contact us at the Ginnie Mae customer support help desk so we can make the change for you if you did not meet that 12 noon time. So those times are very important. So if you want to delete the pool on your own, if it was certified by the custodian, you can do that by 12 noon Eastern time. After 12 noon, it becomes our responsibility. So you'd have to get in touch with us. We're going to ask you to send us an email with your request. And once that we get that email, we'll perform the deletion and send you back an email saying the pool has been deleted. Here, what I want to make sure you are also aware of, you want to bring your custodian in the loop, because the last time they touch your pool, it was certified. So they're not aware that you're making a deletion. So you want to make sure you pass that on to them, that you're making changes, and that pool will be going out again and will need their certification. Next slide. Prerequisite for pooling. Next slide. We're going to try and talk about a little bit on the enroll on MyGenMA, request security, secure ID token, introduction to MyGenMA Portal, master agreement, commitment management, request pool number, and then we're gonna also give you a knowledge check. We want to make you're aware, you're in tune with what we're doing, although we're having some technical difficulties. We still want to try and make you get as much as possible out of the session. Next slide. Okay, MGM. Everybody by the last year, 2 years should know MGM by now, because that's the only way you're going to get involved in any GenMA system. You have to enroll into MyGenMA. Of course, that's a single gateway to all the GenMA systems now. If you're a seasoned GenNet user, you realize that back in the days, you usually log in with your user ID and password to get into GenNet. But now, because you're in the space of MyGenMA, you are now logging in with one user ID and a password, and then we're taking you through single sign-on to the application. So that's the way GenMA is going now. MyGenMA is a single gateway to all the GenMA system, application, and resources that boost efficiency for our business partner. The portal provides enhanced security and a single entry point to all approved applications for individual users, as well as a seamless user registration and access request process for both the issuer and the approving authority. And if you're a seasoned GenMA issuer, you realize that MyGenMA will eventually replace GMAP One and serve as the primary platform for the extended information technology capabilities to the GenMA community. MyGenMA delivers security features which GenMA established. So we just want to let you know that. And of course, some of the browsers that works best with GenMA, MyGenMA, you have the Firefox, you have Chrome, and you have Explorer. And of course, to access MyGenMA, you have the https://my.genma.gov. That's what you're going to use to access MyGenMA within the browser that works for you. And one thing we want to tell you users, pay attention to our user guide. We try to be make the user guide as user-friendly as possible. So you can open that guide and it can walk you through the process. So pay attention to the user guide. All those user guides are found on the GenMA website. If it's best for you to download it and put it somewhere on your desktop, do that. Or if it works for you by going to the website every time, if you need some assistance, you can also do it. Whichever works best for you, but use the tools to help you when you're doing your processing and to understand much better. Don't see them and say, I can't be bothered. Because once even call a hotline, we're going to say, did you actually go through the user manual? So that's very important that you, especially this one is a MyGenMA Organization Administrator Guide. That's the user in your shop who's going to get added responsibility to manage the users in your organization. They need to know how do you do that, what their responsibilities are as org admin. Next slide. Okay. Now the introduction to the MyGenMA Portal role and responsibility. Again, I'm going to make reference all the time now to GMAP and GenNet because that's, if you're used to those things, you know that there were certain roles that people had. If in GenNet, you were enrollment officer. In GMAP, you were security officer. Now, all of that has changed. Now, everybody's under the umbrella as an org admin. If you're going to take care of the system for your people in your shop, that's how you're. So we just want to introduce some of the roles here to you. Organization administrators are privileged users who control system access. assign functional roles, and perform other user management activity. These individuals are responsible for ensuring the end user at their respective organizations are provided an appropriate level of access for their business role with Genime and for the maintenance of those users' account. And as I mentioned earlier, I did jump the gun and said, formerly known as security officers and enrollment administrator. So that role is now an org admin role. And these are the user types in MyGenime. You have the operation administrator, and that's the general oversight of the portal. They can provide final acknowledgement of access requests and cannot make any changes to the end user's account. This function is provided by BNY Mellon Operation, that's my team, on behalf of Genime, with Genime Information Security serving as a super admin over the entire system. So as an admin, if you want to get on the system, of course there's some requirement, but we're the ones who are going to send you whatever is needed, with instructions to fill out that link and get that back to us. Now the org admin. The administrators have the privilege to invite users to register for a portal account, approve users' registration, initiate access requests via functional role assignment to users, and approve the access requests within a single organization. And of course, we want to make sure you have the separation of duties within the registration and access request workflow. Does not allow the org admin to initiate a registration and then approve the same registration. There has to be another person who is going to actually look at that and do the approval. A minimum of 2 org admins. Now Genme is saying 3. A minimum of 3 org admins is required. So you can actually do the work much easier that way when you have at least 3. If you want to put 4 or 5, that's up to you, but you want a minimum at least 3 people so you can actually do the process. And of course, you have the end users. And of course, the end users might be most of you that are on the call right now, because you're the worker bees. You're the ones who actually do the daily function, the daily work. It being setting up your pools on GenNet and sending them off to your custodian. So various types of Genme employees, the business partners, the contractors who require access to the business application and information within the portal, including various self-service functions. So you're the end users. So we have the operation administrator, which is a BNY Mellon function. We have the org admin, which is the privileged user function in your shop. And then we have the end users, the ones who are actually going to go in, do the work, and do the submission. Next slide, please. Okay, prerequisite for pooling. No, I jumped the gun a little bit. Let's go back to, we talked about the administrators. Now let's talk about some of the roles that are set up in the MyGenime space, especially for the end users. End users are provided access based on their business activity, which are organized in meaningful access profile called functional roles. So you as a user, you're given these functional roles with the appropriate level of access in relation to your job function or responsibility. So if you're just doing new pools and that's all your responsibility, the org admin should just give you only new pools roles. You don't need all the other things for investor reporting, for final certification, for PTS. If those are not your function, you don't need to get those roles. So the system, you can just get the roles that you need to perform your job. So that's the goal here. So we don't clutter your workspace with all these other application or all these other tasks that you really don't need. So let's look at some of the roles that we have here as examples. And you might be familiar with some of these roles. We have the single family loan delivery and pooling basic user. Once you see a basic user, that is saying someone who is not authorized. That means you're not on the company's 11702. You do not have a RSA token to do a submission. So you can upload / enter pool and loan information for delivery. You can verify availability of commitment authority. You can clear the documents deficiencies and pooling exceptions. You can access to prepare but not execute PIT or tie transaction. Okay, and then that's a basic user. You have access to the system to do your work and to do it diligently and correct. Then you have the next user. We'll just look at the loan delivery and pooling authorized signer. And that is only the HUD 11702 signatories. So you're on the 11702 form. All rights of a loan delivery and pooling basic user. So everything that the basic user has, the authorized signer has as their functional role. And the reason I'm bringing this up, if the org admins are on the line currently, if you are now given access to some of these roles, make sure if the person is a basic user, that means they do not have access to 11702, they're not going to do any submission, give them basic user alone. If this person is an authorized signer, they're going to submit because they're on 11702 and they do have a token. Just give them authorized signer, pooling and authorized signer. They do not need the basic user because that basic user function is already covered in authorized signer. I noticed since we had started doing this last year on MyGenMay, we had to inform a lot of people. You don't need to have both roles. If you're an authorized signer, you don't need to have the basic and the authorized signer. So I just want to give you that little tip. If you have to go back and either delete the basic user from the authorized signer profile, that's okay. And just some more roles that we have here, the multifamily investor reporting basic user, reporting authorized signer, HECM compliance oversight user, and investor reporting basic user for the subservicers. So these are just, there's a lot more out there. So you want to make sure you visit the MyGenMay end user guide and get familiar with some of these functional roles. It's a little bit different from what you currently have in GeniNet and also in the MyGenMay into GMAP space. So get familiar with these, especially the org admins, because you're the ones who are actually going to give access to the end users for these. Next slide, please. Okay, prerequisite for pooling. Some of the things that you need to have if you're going to get started. Introduction to the MGM Portal, the issuer responsibility. First of all, you have to enroll as a user on the MyGenMay. On MyGenMay. You're going to get Portal. You're going to get the functional rules that allow the user to upload master agreement. the form 11702 identifies the authorized signer. You're going to get access to JettyNet because that's where you're going to do your new pools. You want to make sure you upload your master agreement. You have to be under 11702, and that you have to identify the authorized signers and also request RSA token. If you're going to be an authorized signer, you're definitely going to need an RSA token. So that has to be requested once you're set up on the system. And of course, you have request sufficient commitment authority to guarantee MBS issuance. Those are some of the things you want to make sure you have in place before you start setting up your pools. And again, if you're not familiar where to find some of the documentation, we also provide that in the training here. We have the RSA secure token quick reference card, because if that pertains to you, you're going to need to know how to fill it and where to send that to. And of course, we have the Government National Mortgage Association System form. That's the same form that's now on page 28 on the appendix 329. That's the Ginnie Mae System Access RSA Secure Token Request Form. You're going to need to send that in, sign it as the org admin, and designate the person to get a RSA token. So you just want to go through those as part of the process before you actually get in the system and start doing any full process. Make sure you have all these little things outside done. So when you're ready, you just go straight in and you can go in and do your processing. Are there any questions? Okay, so no questions, so I'll move on. Next slide, please. Okay, this is just, if you're used to MyGenMay, everybody's actually used to this screen. Introduction to MyGenMay Portal. This is what the login screen looks like when you put in, go to the URL and put in your, yes.
Hey, before we go on, Sandra stated in the chat that they were initially told if you did not have an RSA token, you would not need it with MGM.
What was that?
Sandra states that they were initially told that if you did not have if you did not have an RSA token, you would not need it with MGM.
Okay, that's not that if that was told, that was actually incorrect. If you're going to do submission of your 11702, if you're going to do submission of your pools, you do need an RSA token. That's the only way that information is going to get to us. And you have to have an RSA token to set up your master agreements. That's the first piece. So yes, Sandra, you do need an RSA token to start the process. So if you're missing that piece, just go ahead and fill out that form and send it in and put the appropriate people on that form who are going to need that token, because you do need a token to do some of the processes within MyGenMay. Yes.
Right.
Next slide, please. You're welcome. Yeah, again, this just gives you just what the system looks like when you go in with your user ID, your password, and then, of course, you're going to log in. And just to remind you, since we're on the screen, everybody, if you're using MGM right now, you notice we only have one user ID, right? If you're in the old space, we had a GenNet user ID, we had the GMAP user ID. That's now gone because of MyGenMay. Single sign-on. So you sign on now with your user ID, which is usually your email address, your work email address, then your password that you set up, and then you do the login. So it's much easier now. Single sign-on. You don't have to know 3 or 4 different IDs to get into the different application. Just log into MGM, and then you go to the appropriate area, that maybe the application area, or maybe the area that says tools, and pick the application that you're going to work in. So it's much easier. Just want to remind you again, log in into my GenMA quick reference card. Those things are always helpful. If you want to know how to do this, and especially if you're going to use this, you have to train people on how to do certain things. You can use those cards as some of your tools to help them. So just want to get familiar with those things. And I always say, if you want to go to the GenMA website and see them that way, I personally like to go to the website and retrieve them and put them on my hard drive or one of my drives on my PC. So it's much easier for me to access that way. So if I need it for any reference, I have it right there. So whatever works best for you, just use that to your best ability so it can help you and your team to actually do your processing. Next slide, please. I seem like I'm not hearing myself anymore, and that I'm feeling super good. Now, introduction to the MGM Portal. We have, of course, we talk about the multi-factor authentication. There's a one-time password. I'm sure the users are using a system now there. You'll see the OTP. And you have two ways of doing that. You can either go through using your email, or you can actually go through the one-time PIN from the Oracle Mobile Authenticator. Most people tend to use the Oracle Mobile Authenticator because they find it a little bit more easier. Get the information on your phone, and every time when you're getting ready to log in, just bring up your phone with the information and get the digits there, the 6 digits, and put it on your system, and you go through the process. So whichever works for you. We think the Oracle Mobile Authenticator will make your life a little bit more efficient or a little bit more faster in terms of getting that OTP code. So if that works for you, make sure you get that on your device. And also you want to get into there's instructions in our user manual on how to download this and get it on either your iPhone or the other device that will operate with using that OTP and that one-time password for Oracle Mobile Authenticator. So you have two ways. Get it on your email or get it on your phone so you can get the 6 digit to move on. Next slide. Again, when you log in, you're gonna get to the dashboard. That inside my GenMA, you have the dashboard screen which will appear. It's a landing page that's tailored for different users type to provide easier access to key information in an application. So everybody logs on a dashboard, and you'll see certain information on there about, depends on how you are set up. So that's what will show up on that screen there. Next slide. Okay. We're going to have a polling question. So we're going to get this poll going just to see if everybody was with us for the first 35 minutes. I know we were having some technical difficulties. I think it's cleared up now, and I just want to apologize. I don't know if it was me. I don't know where it was, but that's water under the bridge now. Let's get this going and get it popping so we all can learn something for the next hour and a half. So we're going to ask you, we have a couple poll questions going here. So the poll's going to come up, and you just choose which answer you think is the correct answer from the poll. The question, the first one, to check the status of a pool, you should, and the answers are A, contact the GenMA account executive. B, contact GenMA customer service support at 800-33. And C, contact Wade Gale. And so we're trying to see what the answers are here. I'm sure we have more than 15 people out there. Come on. I'm sure we had more than 15 people listening to me. Come on. I see participants 48. This is only 26 people participated. Come on, team. You can do better than that. I'm encouraging everybody to join in the poll. The poll is interactive. We want to make sure you're there, you're listening to us. Don't want to make sure you're open to us, but you're somewhere else doing something. So we want to make sure you're getting as much as you can out of this. So we're giving another minute for the poll. Our first question, and 91% of the people have the correct answer, of course. Oh, 3% said Wade Gale. Isn't that lovely? So you're gonna call me for this. Sometimes you can call me and you'll get me. But the best place to call is the Jenny May customer support at 833 Jenny May. That's 833-466-2435. Because in that sense, we also can tell you to send an email and the hotline. There are more than one representative. You might call Wade Gale, but you might get Wade Gale voicemail, but I'll return your call anyway. But I'll encourage everyone to call the hotline for any questions or concerns there. Thank you very much for your participation in that first question poll. Next poll, please. Next question, I should say. I'm sorry. When can a certified pool be deleted? When can a certified pool be deleted? We're going to give you three answers. A, pool loan packages that are certified after 2 p.m. can be deleted up until 12 noon the next business day. The second one, after 2 p.m. the next business day, and certified pool cannot be deleted. What is the answer here? Hey, what's up with my 6 people who are on question C? Remember there was a chart that we went through? Yes, retreat. 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 Yes. Change your answer. Retreat. Change your answer. Remember we had mentioned that if you certify a pool, you as a user can go in and delete the pool by yourself up to 12 noon. So that's the answer we're looking for. And look at that. Very good, Maribel. Look at that page. So you want to make sure you remember that. Pool can be deleted by 12 noon. Anything after 12 noon, it becomes our responsibility. You can't, as a user, you can't go in and delete the pool. So thank you again for your participation in there. Those people who said after 2 p.m. the next business day, that could be a little bit late in terms if you want to make changes to your pool there. So that pool might have, B answer. If you try to delete that pool after 2 p.m. the next business day, that pool would have already been released. That's what we call it in our world, and sent off to the Fed. So it would have been too late. Our next thing on that is to go to your account executive and see what can be done. But the pool would have been out of our hands. So you don't want to do the B answer at all. And 3, you can delete certified pools. You just have to delete it at a certain time. You can delete it up to 12 noon by yourself. Or if you miss the 12 noon cutoff, then you can call us. We have the ability to delete it up between then and 4 p.m. when we do our releases. So just remember that. Thanks again for your participation on this. Now let's go to our third question. There it pops up. If I miss the window to delete a pool, what can I do? Call Jenny May customer support, call account executive, and the third one, resend the pool under a different pool number. Okay. We're going to encourage you, and we encourage you in our, at the bottom of this, that slide. You want to call us, call the GenMay customer support. The reason why I'm saying that, it's easier. You might call your account executive. There could be some delay in getting that person to actually reach out back to us. So we usually encourage you, if you realize that something is wrong and something needs to be fixed, give us a call. We encourage you to call the hotline before you even send an email. And then we want to instruct you to send an email so we have it, your request all documented. So the answer is A, call the GenMay customer support, 93%, very good. Someone said call, a couple of people say call the GenMay account executive. You can call them, but sometimes there's a delay. So we usually, so the correct answer would be A. Thank you very much for your participation. We really appreciate it. So some people are listening. That's always good to know. Is there any questions before I move on? Thank you, Miss Polling Lady. We appreciate that. Oh, we're at the right time. We're scheduled for a break.
Okay, so before we start up, John Kozak from the single family office would like to speak. He is an account executive, and he has some information that I want to be useful for you. Hi, John. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to underscore the importance of what Wade pointed out of having sufficient commitment authority before you transmit your pools through JennyNet. Submitting pools without sufficient commitment authority is kind of like bouncing a check with Jenny May. You'll get an email back from us saying insufficient funds for purposes of funding this pool, and you have to order additional commitment authority like right away. Okay. Now you can monitor your commitment line balance, I believe, through e-notification, or you can contact your account executive at any time to say, oh, could you just tell me what my balance is? Or you can keep track of it yourself. But just remember, commitment authority is not automatic. Just because you transmit it in doesn't mean it's automatically going to be approved. Okay. We go through an approval process at Jenny May, which involves, a number of little reviews. First of all, we want to make sure that your annual audited financial statement is in and reviewed by Jenny May, and that it shows that you have sufficient adjusted net worth to support the commitment authority you're requesting. Of course, you have to be approved. We're going to check your approval with FHA. We're going to check your commitment usage rate. Okay. Generally, what you have to remember is commitment authority expires after 12 months. So if you order commitment authority in June of this year and don't use it, June of 2022, June 30th, it's gone. It's down to zero. We can only approve it for 12 months. So generally speaking, you should estimate your needs for about 6 months out into the future and order commitment authority for about 6 months out. And talk to your account executive before you order, and maybe just give them an idea of what you're using, and then order accordingly. And he can tell you, or your account executive, whoever it is, can tell you should order maybe 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or whatever. And then lastly, we check your MBFRF, your most recent quarterly financial reporting. Again, we want to make sure that your adjusted net worth supports the additional commitment authority that you're ordering. So that's it for me. Had to get my 2 cents in.
Thank you very much, John. Very good information. Okay, welcome back. Let's hope we can go through the second session or the second half without any echo. I just want to shout out some of my newbies. I saw when I'd asked a question earlier, Sandra, Alethea, Christina, Nathan, Andrew, Ashley, and Jill. Welcome. I'd say this is your first time training. We appreciate your time to actually appreciate you spending some time with us to try and get some of this in. So welcome, and I hope you'll be here with us for all 3 days. So thank you. Okay, let's jump back into our training session. Next slide, please, Maribel. Okay. Prerequisite for pooling, accessing master agreement management system. You're going to hear us call it MAMS. Of course, it's very important, especially for those new users, new issuers. You have to get your master agreement documents set up before you can actually start doing your pools. So again, you have to access this through MGM. And once you get into the MGM system, you go on the tools, and then on the tools you'll see MAMS. That's the Master Agreement Management System, MAMS. We just shorten it. That's where you'll go in and do to start your master agreements for the year. And then if you see number 3 tells you once you log in, you get to that summary page where it says master agreement, and that's where when you'll start your processing. Next slide, please. And again, introduction to MGM master agreement requirement. Very, very important, because right now we're going through master agreement was extended, and it shuts off on June 30th. So if you didn't get your master agreement renewed, you have until June 30th to make sure you get those renewed for the rest of the year. And again, check out the master agreement user guide if you need any help, of course, and don't hesitate to call the 800 number for any assistance you might also need. But check out the guide, and these are the forms that you will need. Know these forms, know these master agreement forms. The form HUD 11702, that's the resolution of board of directors and certified authorized signers. The ones who are going to need a token needs to be on that company's corporate resolution form. The HUD form 11703-11, that's if you're master agreement for participation accounting. If you're an HMBS issuers, you're gonna need that form as part of your process. Form HUD 11707, that's the master servicing agreement. You're gonna need that form also. HUD form 11709, master agreement for services, P&I custodial account. HUD 11709A, that's your ACH debit authorization. And that's a form that you don't need to do a renewal. So that form won't come up in your renewal. But of course, you can change your ACH information as often as you wish to change that. But that's not a renewed form. HUD 11715, that's your master custodial agreement. That's the agreement you make with that custodian who's going to keep your documentation for whilst you go through the Genime pool processing. And of course, the HUD 11720, that's the master agreement let's start it again, wait. Master agreement for servicers escrow custodial agreement. Those are the master agreement form. You want to make sure you get them in time, process them, submit them. And where the system works, of course, the first form you're going to need to submit is that 11702. Submit that, get it approved. And then once that form is approved, then you can proceed with sending the other forms out. Next slide, please. I'll take it and I'll move it to the next slide. Prerequisite for pooling still continues. For GenMA issues are responsible for initiating the documentation required to complete your master agreement. And again, in the system, it walks you through where the user manual, the quick reference guide is always good. Walk you through how to do it. So if you don't want to go through the task of going through the user manual, and you see the quick reference guide can help you. It tells you how to create a form, how to print the agreement, how to do the upload and import the complete forms, how to do search and review the forms, and how to submit the forms through the submission center. And that's when your RSA token comes in play. So you do need an RSA token to do the submission. So just be aware of that. Again, always emphasize, if you think these quick reference cards work for you and you want them at your fingertip, most of us might still not be working 100% in the office, so we can't really have it on our desk. So if you can print it and put it in a PDF file on the master agreement on your own local PC, so you can access it that way if you need it. And also, while you're doing that, just grab the master agreement management system guide also, and you have that. So that will give you the information that you need. And always, if you're not clear on something, and especially if it's going to delay you to meet certain deadlines, don't hesitate to call us at that 800 number so we can provide some more information for you so you can feel comfortable and start your processing. Next slide, please. Yes, when and how to update master agreement, always good information here. On an annual basis, issuers must recertify their eligibility by completing the renewal process. GenMA requires a recertification of master agreements annually between October 1 to December 31st. I guess because of last year and the unique situation that the country went through, GenMA had extended that to June 30th for the renewal of your 2021 master agreement. So it ends in 16 days. The renewal is going to end. And what that means, if you're an issuer right now who did not renew your master agreements and you also missed the deadline of 6/30, you'll have to end up setting up all your master agreement forms all over again from the initial and submit. So the renewal is that you're telling GenMA the information that's on file, we're using those same accounts for next year. So we want to do the recertification. That's what it is. Then that prevents you from sending those forms again. But if you miss the deadline, which is 6/30, you would have to end up generating and creating all those forms in again and start from scratch like you're doing it for the first time. So try, I think there may be some 35 issuers still out there that have not renewed for 2021, and time is coming. So if you're any of those, get it done. If you're not clear on what to do, don't hesitate to call us. But the usual time is from October 1 to December 31st. So when October 1 comes in the next couple of months and you're going to use those same accounts, go in and renew your master agreements as soon as possible. I always tell the team that I train with, don't do it on December 30th, because the possibility is holiday weekend. People might not be in to do the certification. So try and do it as early as possible and get that piece off your head. Put that piece aside. I don't have to do my renewals. They're already done. So try and do it as soon as possible, because you don't want to try and do it at the end of the year when everybody's rushing and half of the people are out on Christmas holidays. So try and do that. Important to start certification process as early as October 1 to release the year-end spike in volume. Yes, and it does happen the last 2 weeks. We get calls. People can do this. My manager is out because they're the only one who's an authorized signer, and I can't get my master agreements. I'm sorry. I'm mimicking you guys. That's how you guys sound sometimes when you call the phone. We do understand. So that's why I'm doing the encouragement now. Get it out as soon as possible when the renewal time comes. And I'd already said, if the issuer does not complete their recertification within the renewal period, they will not be eligible to issue Ginnie pools and will have to repeat the initial process, submission process again, of course. If you try to set up a pool and the master agreements are outdated, the system is going to give you error messages and you will have to clear those up. So might as well get all the ducks in a row, get everything in order, and then you can start your process. Is there any questions? Okay, let's move to the next slide, please. Okay, now we have done our master agreement, and John had talked about not too long about commitment authority. It's the same thing. You have to go through MGM and choose the application you need on the IPMS and actually do your commitment processing. So let's go to the next slide. And these are some of the things. An issuer must comply with GenMA eligibility requirement and have sufficient commitment authority available to successfully issue GenMA security. Commitment authority allows an issuer to issue up to an authorized dollar amount of securities and constitute a commitment line balance. And of course, we did put this in here. The commitment management application replaced the manual submission of documents, submission of fees via pay.gov, and provide an issuer with an automated method to submit your requests for commitment authority. It confirmed the associated commitment fees. It proactively monitored the commitment balance and request status, and submit payment instruction for ACH debit for commitment fees. And you can also get the request reports. So those are some of the benefits. If this is part of your responsibility, make sure you do it. And also, as John had mentioned, there's a daily check that comes into a notification, tell you what your balance is at the start of that day. And the reason why we stress this, because John is stressing it, because as part of the GenMA team, when these pools come into us at BNY Mellon and we go through our due diligence, if there's an insufficient fund, it kicks it out. So pool number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 came in for $5 million, but you only had $3 million in your commitment authority. So that pool could not be issued. So we usually have to send information over to GenMA on this, and then they will go from there. You know what that does? It could keep you, depends on how long it takes for you to get that balance in. That could also mess up your delivery date to your investor. So that's very important. Get these things in order before you start doing these pools. If you're doing 3 pools that comes up to $10 million, make sure you have the $10 million at hand so you won't get these exceptions, because the exception could take a couple days to clear out, and that will affect your delivery instructions or your delivery date for those settlements. So just make sure you pay close attention to that. Next slide, please. Thank you. Commitment management application. Of course, we always going to tell you where to get the information. An issuer must comply with GenMA eligibility requirement and have sufficient commitment. We said that before, and we just want to tell you that get familiar with the commitment management application issuer guide. Get to know that guide. And what we did on this page, we just kind of make it easier for you to submit requests, where to find what pages those. Just go straight to that if you want to do that. To confirm the associated commitment fee, the page is there. The proactive monitor, the page to do that are there. Submit payment instruction, that page is also there. Request reports, those pages are there. So we try to give you as much information so it makes your life a little bit easier when you're getting ready to do the pool, because it's never just one piece to make the puzzle. You have so many different pieces that you have to make sure those are in place to get the whole. So we're giving you the information and hopefully you're taking it in. And again, we always say, if you're not clear on certain things, of course, I read certain things sometime and I don't get it the first time. I have to read it the second time. And knowing Wade Gale sometimes never gets it the second or the third time. So Wade might need to reach out to someone. I'm sure sometimes we do that too, because reading it and doing it is totally different. So use those resources, use us, use your account executive for policy issues, policy questions, use us how to work the system so we can help you and make your life a little bit easier during your processing time. Next slide, please. And again, this just gives you some more information on, again, we go back to the quick reference card. We have the guide, but we also try to make it a little bit easier. Maybe some people want to go with using a one pager. It makes it easier for them to understand it that way. So that's what we create and give you that ability to go through that one page and to get the understanding of the commitment authority. So we have shows you like the commitment summary screen. You view the committed requests and you can run reports. So that's what that one pager is, I shouldn't say one page. It could be a page and a half. A quick reference card is quick reference card. So if you don't want to do the guide, we give you that information too. So use them. And again, I said, if you can actually download the form and put it on your desktop, it's fine. But at least you'll know where to find it on the GenMay website on the modernization. So use the tools to help you much better able to actually function and do your work. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we have done our MAMs. We're setting up our commitment. Now, if we're going to do GenMay pools, we're always going to need GenMay pool numbers. So the next thing is the accessing the request pool numbers, the RPN. You're going to hear us call it RPN via MGM. And again, you have to go via the main vehicle, which is that My GenMay, because everything is now in a single sign-on. So you don't have to use a second or a third password to get in. Once you get on the correct page, you go to where it says IPMS and you choose RPN. And that's how you go in and start your process of requesting the pool numbers. So that's the bottom half of the screen, just tells you what the summary page is like when you land there. Select request pool numbers, and then you go through the process. Next slide, please. And this is just pool numbers the RPN is an application that GenMay issuers use to request pool numbers. It replaces the current paper HUD 11700 letter of transmission or commitment authority. And I'm sure if you're a newbie to GenMay, that form might not mean anything to you. But if you're one of those old schoolers who remember that form, that's request pool number come into play now. With that form, you don't have to submit anymore because it's all on the system. In the request pool number application, issuers have the ability to perform the following procedures. You can enter requests for pool numbers. You can view the available pool number that's in the queue. You can submit override requests to GenMay account executive for additional pool number. You can view the status report. You can request and download reports, and you can receive real-time approval for requests. And again, this is so important. I always drive this home when I have the training, either in person and now I'm doing it virtual. Once you request your pool numbers, those pool numbers are owned by you. Those pool numbers will be linked to your issuer numbers. So if you request 10 and it's 1 through 10 and those 10 are done, don't try to go and use 11. Because guess what? Somebody might have requested 11 during that space of time. So you always have to go back and do another request. Don't just use the next available. You think, okay, I did 1 through 10, so I'm sure my next number will be 11. No. Someone actually chose that number before whilst they went in and do the request themselves. So the reason why I mention this, because if you just go in and say, oh, 10 was the last number, let me use 11 on this new multiple pool that I'm setting up. The pool is, you're going to be able to enter the pool in GennyNet. You're going to be able to go through the edits, pass the edits, submit to the custodian. The custodian is going to be able to certify it. But when BNY Mellon goes in and download that pool and do their due diligence to make sure everything look good before it gets onto the GenMaze system, we're going to get error messages saying pool number does not belong to issuer 1, 2, 3, 4. And guess what? We're going to give you a call. And we're going to say, I'm going to call out Jill. Because that's the name. Jill, you submitted the pool 11, and that pool is saying it does not belong to you. And Jill might say, oh, wow, really? Wow, I thought it was. Oh, and then Jill is going to say, oh, darn, I know what I did. I just used the next consecutive number that was there and thought that would have been my pool number. And I'm going to say, I figured that's what you did, Jill, and that won't work because somebody might have used that number already. And that's the message we got from the system. So we're going to give you a call. We're going to tell you that pool number does not belong to you. We're going to ask you to delete the pool. So you have to send us an email requesting us to delete that pool for you. We're going to delete the pool. Once the pool is deleted, you can go in and edit that pool. And if you have new pool numbers, you put in the pool number that's associated with your issuer number, apply the edits, and submit the pool. But at this point, make sure you inform the custodian that the same information, the same pool data is coming over with another pool. Very important. Because the custodian, in their mind, they already submitted, they certified 10, and you're sending 11 with the same loan information they've already did. So those things you have to make sure you're doing a proper communication so you don't get in any problems. Because you could have submitted a pool and the custodian did not go and certify the pool. And guess what? You miss your settlement date and you miss your delivery to your investor. So those things are very important to just make sure you connect the dots. If you make any changes, make sure you inform your custodian because in their mind, that pool is done. They're not expecting the pool to be a new pool to be submitted with the same loans. So those things you have to make sure you're on top of that and you're telling them what happened. So to avoid that, don't ever go in the system and just say, okay, the next 10 numbers I'm just going to use because I did the first 10. Somebody actually beat you to those 10 and those numbers are already associated with another issuer number. So just want to give you that tip. If it hasn't happened, very good. Just keep on requesting your pool numbers the correct way. Next slide, please. Okay, again, this is just kind of giving you an idea of what happens in the system when you go in and what it looks like. And again, we talk about the request pool number, quick reference card. We can't forget those quick reference card because that give you the quick information how you can do the processing and tells you what the quick reference card goes through. The RPM summary screen, the request pool numbers. You can download the pool number request, to view the status of the pool numbers, and you can run the report. So that's what you can do on the screen there. So just use those quick reference to help you with your daily processing. I see somebody's asking about will they, yes, and I think Jen May will provide a copy of the slide deck after, I don't know if it's after the call, but they'll post the information on the website. And Sylvia, can you just say a little bit on that?
Yes, all information. Yes, all the materials will be posted. So you will have access to this.
Okay, it sounds like a plan. Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, just some prerequisite check. Just want to make sure that you issues you're on point. You're getting it right. You're doing the right thing. GMAP pool and prerequisite. Ensure there are assigned pool numbers. Very important. Check your available pool numbers on request pool numbers. Ensure there's adequate commitment authority. So we reminded you again. Check the commitment management. Ensure there are complete master agreements on file. Check your master agreement. Check the master agreement management system, and complete the HUD 11709A, the ACH debit authorization form. So we're reminding you every step that you go. So remember to do this. Remember to do this, especially if you're a newbie. It can be overwhelming. Just getting your first pool out, it can be overwhelming. So we want to make sure we're giving you the information. We want to make sure you're giving you the tools. We want to make sure you have access to us via email or by the 800 number if you need further information or further clarification on certain things. So we'll make sure we're giving you the information so you can actually perform your work in a more efficient and, I would say, user-friendly, and so you can become that subject matter expert, because that's our goal, to actually know these things without having to read the documentation, because it's right there in our head. So we'll provide you with those information. Next slide, please. Okay, what we have here is just to give you a little demonstration on what some of the forms look like and how you'll go in and do the processing. We have three. We have the Master Agreement 11702. We have the Commitment Management screen, and we also have the Request Pool number. So the first thing we're going to start off with is how to access the system. We're going to go into Tools. On the Tools, we're going to choose MAMS. And on the MAMS, when we get on this page here, we're going to choose Create Form. It's a very quick video. We're going to choose 11702. We're going to click on Go. Then we're going to put in the appropriate information there on the form. The board meeting, the secretary's name, we're going to put in the certifying officer's name. Yeah, and I got that. Very good. Then we're going to put in the certifying officer's title. Yes, and I got a vice president today. Very good. And then the institutional detail, we're going to fill that information in. And just anything that has the asterisk, there needs to be filled in. Just want to pass it on to you. We're going to pick the state. Fill that in. Date. And then at the bottom where it says replace existing authorized signer, if it's yes or no, we're gonna keep it at no. We're gonna put in the person's name, James, middle name if he has one, last name Lee, and his title. And if you have more, you keep on adding them on the list. Then once that's done, that form has to be given to them so they can sign it. So once it's signed, you have to upload that form into the system, upload document. Make sure you do that. And once it comes in, it says it's successful as a draft. And the physical document of the 11706 has been successfully saved. And we want to save as draft. And it says 11702 for that issue number is save as draft. You see it's complete. And that's the first form you actually want to submit. So that's why we did 11702. You see there, it says authorized signer, draft, add to submission center. That's when you're going to use your RSA token. Add to the submission center. And it says select form has been added to the submission center. We're going to click on submission center. You're going to see that item. We're going to click in that box. We're going to prepare to do the submission. Of course, we have the legal information here that comes up. You're going to accept. You're going to read it and accept. That's what I should say. Once I accept, you're going to submit the form. Now, at this point is when you need your 4-digit PIN. Of course, you have the 4-digit PIN, and then on the RSA token itself, it issues a 6-digit passcode. And you as a user is going to put in that 6-digit passcode. And if that passcode is correct, you're going to click on OK. And once you click on OK, if everything goes well with the PIN and your passcode, you're able to submit the pool for BN1 Mellon to process. So that's the MAMS form. Now let's try and see if we can do another form. So I think we need to exit out of here and go back into another presentation so we can start doing either the commitment authority. Okay, we're gonna log in, get back to the main screen on the tools. We're gonna choose CM, then we're gonna do our commitment authority. We're gonna land on the summary page. We're gonna go to the section that says request commitment. We're gonna select the program. We're gonna say if it's we're a single family, but we're using the same recording, so we have to make sure we change that. We're going to put in our ACH information. We're going to put in enter our account number. We're going to re-enter account number for verification. Once that information is in, we're going to do the legal stuff again. Make sure we read all those agreements and accept the terms and conditions. And we're going to do the submit. Before we do the submit, we have just a little summarization information that comes up there before we click on OK. And of course, it's going to ask for your 4-digit PIN, then your 6-digit passcode to submit. So that was now we're going to do the same thing for our RPN. So right now you notice that two other forms do need RSA token, MAMS and CM. So we're going to get into the processing for this. Once you go into the screen, we're going to click on request pool number. And this is like since we're going to request a larger number of pools that needs to be approved by Jenny May. We're going to request the AE override because I think you request at least 10 pools at a time, and we're requesting 50. So that has to be override. The request is in progress. Please contact your AE if you need any questions. And that was just a quick overview of what happens in your system, what happens in the process for MAMS, CM, and RPN. And again, we are showing you that some of this might not be your responsibility as processors, but again, just if in case you're going to do this, you know where to do it and how to go through the process. And again, just to reemphasize, master agreement and commitment management, those two need tokens. So yes. So the person that asked a question earlier, yes, you do need your token to submit your master agreements and your commitment management. The request pool numbers, you don't need a token there. So again, it all depends how you set up your stuff in your stuff. And I see that John raised his hand. John, you have any questions or any concerns here?
Yeah, I was just, Wade, I was just going to add that on the commitment authority, the fee for commitment authority is, I believe it's still $500 for the first $1.5 million
yes, sir.
that you request, and then
yes.
$200 for each additional million on top of that. So that tells you it's probably the fee is still the same if you order 10 million in commitment authority or you order 10.5 million
yes.
in commitment authority. So you always kind of want to order your commitment authority on the $500,000 to make sure you're getting your money's worth. My 2 cents. Thank you.
Oh, John, we appreciate those 2 cents. Those 2 cents are valuable because that's why we appreciate you being here, so you can actually speak from experience and what you have gone through with your issues. So we really appreciate that because I think it's very good information for especially the new team, the new ones who are coming on. So much appreciated, sir.
Glad to do it. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Next slide, please. I think we have another polling question. Just want to keep you on your toes, just to make sure everybody is participating or is learning something from this. So we're going to get ready to do another poll. I
don't know why it didn't take 1 second. It keeps going away. I'm sorry. Where do you go to submit your master agreements?
Okay, thank you. Where do you go to submit your master agreements? And we have the answers. A is GMAP 1.0. 2 is my MGM Portal. And the third one?
JennyNet.
The third one is JennyNet. So can you give us the answer there? Oh, I wanted to see the person who was doing that JennyNet thing. I was getting ready to, my mother usually pinch me when I'm talking in church. So I was just going to find that person and give them a pinch. If anybody had said JennyNet. Remember we said master agreement, not new pools, master agreement. I see why people say GMAP, but to actually really submit it through my MGM Portal. So I see that, but the answer is really my MGM Portal. Thank you for participating in that one. Marble, tell me when you're ready for the second one. If you can't see it and you can read the question, that will be fine.
Yes. The next question is poll number 5. A RSA token is required to submit your request for commitment authority. Is it true or false?
Oh yeah, baby. Everybody remember that one. Let me see if how many more is going to participate in this. The person who says false, give me a reason why you said false. Who said false? Oh, the person changed their mind. Okay. Because I was gonna hunt that person down and have them to get on the call and tell me why you said false. So correct, 100%. It's true. You do need an RSA token to do your submission for that. So let's try and see if we can get the third one going. Maribel?
Sure. Pool numbers must be requested after the pool is submitted. True or false?
Wow. Ooh, that one person up there. Ooh, who is that? Okay, I scared them. I scared them. Yes, you cannot request your pool numbers. I still see two people said true. And I really need you to explain, if you can put it in the chat, why you said true. Pool numbers must be requested after the pool is submitted. Remember what I had said earlier? Make sure you have your pool numbers ready, because those pool numbers are linked to your issuer number. And also, if you request 10, you cannot use number 11, because number 11 might not be yours at that time. It could be someone else. So the answer is actually false. You cannot request your pool numbers after the pool is submitted. You need to have your pool numbers in front of you, ready to go, before you actually do your submission. And one person, I'm still not convinced. Who's that one person? I just convinced them. So yes, pool numbers must be requested after the pool is submitted. So just keep that in mind. If you use another pool number and it wasn't requested, as I'd mentioned earlier, we're going to get an exception on our side. You're going to get a call from the new pool processing team saying that this pool does not belong to you. We're going to request that you delete the pool. And you notice what's going to happen. You have to delete the pool. So that there's some delay there, especially if you're on a time crunch. This pool has to get out such and such in time. So you just want to be careful, because you promised this pool to your investor on June 16, but I got this call today from BNY Mellon because the pool number does not belong to me. Those are real things. But so those are things that you just have to look out for. So the answer for this is actually false. The pool number has to be available before you actually do the submission. Great. Thank you for participating in the polls. Although there were some little hiccup. Hey, maybe we should just call. That's what Monday is all about. Anyway, sometimes things work out well, sometimes it doesn't go well, but at least we were able to get through most of the session. And I hope it was actually useful and helpful to you. If you're doing it for the first time, if you're doing it as a refresher, I hope it was helpful to you. Next slide. Jenny May information. Next slide. Okay, this slide, it's not clear, but I just wanted I put this in there because since we can actually go to the network, and I want users to be aware of this page. The GenMay website information, the pool date calendar. Very important calendar if you're doing processing, not only for new pools, but it'll also help if you're wearing two hats, if you're wearing the investor reporting hat, or if you're wearing the new pool processing hat. Get familiar with these dates. Know when your pools can be submitted. Know when is the last date for pool submission, especially if you're doing those multiple pools. They have a certain time to cut off. So get familiar with those dates, when things can be done, when GenMay wants you to do something, when something needs to be set up and passed over to. So go on GenMay's website and check out the pool date calendar. That's going to help you, and I'll suggest to use it I don't know if you can use it as a regular basis so you'll know, especially for multiple pools. Most people are doing the multiple pools right now, so those pools have a cutoff. There's a specific cutoff for those multiple pools, so you have to meet those deadlines. If you don't meet those deadlines, you're not going to have that pool issue for the month of June. I'm just using June as an example. So go out there on the website and visit and look at that, the pool date calendar. Actually, GenMay website should be your Bible. I put it like that. Use that as your Bible. All the information that you need how to process pools, especially in the MBS guide. If you're doing custom, go in and find the chapters that talk about custom, because what the policies are, what is needed, what is needed to build a custom pool. If you're doing multiple pools, know that what is needed, what are the what the loans are supposed to look like, what the maturity date and all those things. Know those little policy that GenMay is putting out there. If you're building an M pool, if you're building an X pool, know what the rules are so you can get the pool together. But of course, again, if you're not familiar with anything, if you're not sure, don't hesitate to call us at all the time on the hotline or send us an email and we'll try and see if we can direct you. And I'll also mention the policy question. If you want certain policy question answer, just always make sure you know who your account executive is and reach out to them for the policy thing. On the processing side now on JennyNet, you can always reach out to my team and we'll try and guide you that way. So that's why we put this slide in. Just visit it on the GenMay website and be familiar with those dates, because every month, certain things might stay at a certain time, but you still want to know, when is this due? When can I submit my M pools? When is the last day I can submit a custom pool? When is the last day I can submit an X pool, a single family pool? So you want to know those dates. So get familiar with that calendar. Next slide, please. We have question and answer. Does anyone have any questions, any concerns, anything you want to ask us, me, Jenny May, anything before I pass it over to Sylvia? This is your time. Well, this is your time, Sandra, Alicia, Christina, Nathan, Andrew, Alicia, Ashley, and Jill. So I wrote those names outside, so I can use them just in case you have any questions you want to ask us while we're on the session. Okay, it seems like let's go to the next slide. I think it's we just gonna next slide. Again, these are just the resources that we had in the presentation. We just want to make sure you have them to help you, guide you with your daily processing. So we have the manuals, the QRCs and the FAQs, frequent asked questions, always good ones. So these you can get. So we just want to make sure we put those in our resource section. We want to give you the tools so you can actually do your work and you find it's not that 100% tedious. I know as a new issuer, if you're doing this for the first time, it can be overwhelming. But so we want to make sure we give you the tools. So at least aid you a little bit, make it be a little bit easier for you. So by the time you're getting ready to do your second pool, you're an expert. So that is what I have in store just for today. And I hope it was helpful. I know we started off a little bit rocky in terms of the echo, but I hope as we went through the process, you were able to grasp some things and it does make sense to you. And you were able to do the connecting the dot to your processing. And I guess come tomorrow when we go a little bit more into processing the pool on JennyNet, you'll see you'll kind of see the big picture. So I want to thank you for your time and I hope it was useful to you. So I'm going to turn this over back to Sylvia. Sylvia, all yours.